The one who gives so much for so little, my words offer no meaning. She was a class of her own, always there to give a listening ear, provider of comfort to the distressed, or giver of sustenance to the needy and underprivileged. She provided leadership, ensured support when the time came, irrespective of her own personal problems or issues. She was in many ways a mind reader, understanding you by a reticent or distant demeanor, and would make it a point to discover you in the quiet of the day. She was a true spirited adventurer, traveling vast distances to be with her loved ones, making use of such occasions to open foreign currency accounts and holding them till currency fluctuations were in our favor. In recent years, a gold sovereign was exchanged from one hand to another on our birthdays. This later was replaced with cash exchanges. The last time when it was my turn, she wanted to know if the envelope contained Singapore dollars or Malaysian ringgit. This year, on my birthday, she gave me an envelope with the Malaysian ringgit equivalent to my age, just 2 days before she passed away. Sadly, she will no longer be there to receive hers. The last few hours with her beloved ones at St. Regis on the 23rd July evening was compensation enough for a most beloved soul.
There are many interesting things to talk about Akka. As a kid, I used to stay with her in Chinatown Street from 1948 onwards, intermittently. But from 1950 onwards, I stayed with her. And for about 2 years, I was at the Butler Road School. I used to be a good runner. I must attribute the running traits to my sister, who used to make me run every day at least 10 times to the Krishna stores to buy things. She'll probably call me up at about 10 o'clock and say, Raghu, go and buy some sugar and give me some money. I'll run all the way down about 3/4 of a mile, buy the sugar and come back. And as soon as I arrive, she will say, Raghu, I forgot, can you go and buy some inji for me? So again, I'll run up down 1.5 miles or something and come back with the inji. And that goes on for about 4 or 5 times every day, and that gave me a good training for my running. And if I stayed long enough, probably I'd be a state runner, but unfortunately my father packed me off to Ceylon in 1952 December with my sister Pulla, and that was the end of those good days in Chinatown Street. If we need more, we'll talk about it later. Bye.
This is Pillai from New Jersey. I was asked to share a story about Akka. I have a couple of incidents that I remember with her. One day, Akka was trying to fix a small mirror that had a broken stamp. She was using wax, melting it on the fire and trying to fix the leak. If you ask my siblings, you will all know that I was a tomboy and a bit naughty those days. It was taking a long time for Akka to fix the stamp. I don't know what happened, but somehow wax got onto my wrist. Being the person I was, I must have put my hand in it, tried to fix it myself. I was in pain, screaming. Akka got so scared and was pleading me not to scream, but I wouldn't stop. So she gave me a packet full of biscuits, asking me not to scream. Biscuits were a luxury those days, so I decided to bear the pain to get the biscuits. I still had the scar on my wrist as a memory. But the story I remember, it's a pocket story. Akka, being a green seamstress, tailors all her dresses for Deepavali. I sat next to her, asking her to add big pockets on the dress. So Akka decided to give me what I wanted. I was very happy with the dress. On the day of Deepavali, I wore my dress and showed it with pride to Akka, stuffed my pockets with firecrackers, and ran to my friend's house to show them. There I took my firecrackers from my pocket and began to light them. One of the lit crackers didn't burst, so I decided to carefully put it back into my pocket, still realizing that it was going to burst after a while. Within seconds, the rest of the crackers in my pocket began to burst. I ran all the way home crying as the crackers were still bursting. Finally, the fire was stopped, but my pockets were gone. I was very sad and went to bed with a heavy heart. I woke up the next morning to see that Akka had redone the dress with those same big pockets. I was so happy to see my dress fixed again, and I gave her a big hug. Then when the time came for me to go to Sri Lanka, Akka stitched many dresses for me, but she said she would not stitch any with pockets. I could go on forever about all my memories with Akka, but I'll keep it short due to my time limit.
Yeah, Akka, Lady.
Yes, my favorite memories are those of the childhood with Akka, because the others all know about the memories later. I and Akka were an unusual pair, and I don't see that type of relationship nowadays. We used to fight like cats and dogs. At the same time, next day we are going hand in hand, carrying each other's bag. I carry her bag, she carries my bag, and then I take over my bag from her and proceed on to my school, which is 1 mile away. And coming back, she is waiting for me to come back. And then again, we exchange our bags and come back. And then in the evenings, we are fighting and quarreling. And it's not merely quarreling, it is really fighting. Tearing each other's hair, pulling down, wrestling and biting, biting and pinching and this and that. And my poor mother had to come with a broomstick and whack us, till we ran under the bed, and she would dig us out of the bed with a long stick, and then we were fearing the stick is going to pierce our eyes or pierce our nose or pierce our mouth. We will clamber out of it, and then she will chase us right out of the door. So don't come back. And then Akka won't go far. I will go out to the field, and then at 7 o'clock in the night, Amma will come to the torchlight searching for, where's my boy?
I wonder whether any one of you know that Akka can somehow take pain away from you. My experience with her was when I broke my femur, and when I was coming back from school, and it was near Clamanti's house, a cow herd man carried me all the way with my leg hanging, all the way to Clamanti's house. And this is going back when I was in primary school. That was about 13, 14 years old. Anyway, at that time, there wasn't any ambulance service. You were lucky if an ambulance came, so you somehow had to take yourself to the hospital. So the only alternative was for Asetan, that's Clamanti's husband, to go and fetch a car from Wellwood to Imbi Road, and they put me in the back seat of the car and took me to the hospital. So every time we went over a bump or Asetan had to brake, my femur bone was moving, and it was quite painful. And Akka heard it from the front seat. She gave me her hand and said, transfer the pain over to me. I was a bit surprised and shocked about it. Anyway, I complied with her request and tried and gave her my hand, and very soon all the pain went away, for which I'm very grateful. And I find that I also think have that ability, but I'm not sure. I just like say, thank you, Akka. We will miss you.
I'd like to talk to you about the dynamics of the racehorse, or at least the racehorse from Akka's and Attan's viewpoint. when I was younger and if I did not study, that evening when Atan came back from work, Akka would tell Atan, your son didn't study. And she complained about that. Atan would say, Kunal, your job is just to feed the horse and let the horse do its own running. And Akka used to say, but if the horse is not doing its own running, we have to make it run. Atan said, no, you just feed the horse. His philosophy was, you create the right environment and let the horse find its own path. You don't impose things on it, you let it find its own path. That was his philosophy. Now, another thing that Atan did for me was, he sowed the seeds of a dream. When I was small, he'd always point out the BMW to me. We never owned one, but he would always point it out. I didn't realize then, but only in the last 15 years or so, I think it dawned on me that he was sowing the seeds of a dream, and that was the BMW. The power of a dream is unbelievable. Now, Atan passed away at 76 years, and Akka started to change after that. She became more of a listener and an encourager. I tell you, it's not easy to be a listener and an encourager at the same time. Many of us tend to judge and give our opinions and things like that. But Akka was different. She became a better listener and encourager. I'll give you two examples. In 1979, I came back when I started my 4th year of IIT. I got fed up. I came back. I decided to throw my IIT and I came back to Malaysia. I told Akka, if you scold me, I'm going to walk out of this house. And Akka said, I will never scold you. She said, it's like a fruit tree. I am the tree and you are the fruit. I will never let go of you until you decide it's time for you to go. And on top of that, so that was, she never reprimanded me. And she told her brothers and sisters, don't speak to him about this issue. And they never did. And interestingly enough, that horse that decided not to run its race decided to start. And I went back to India, did my engineering, completed my engineering, came back, then went to UK, did my master's in computer science, came back. I got a fantastic job with an international software house. And so this is the second story. So I was working for this company called Logica, fantastic international company, doing well. I was the top performer there. And after about 3 years, one weekend I read a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. I read it on a Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I resigned. 24 hours. Most parents would have been shocked. Why did you resign? It was such a good job. But no, it was not Akka. It was not Akka's style. Akka just listened and they didn't discourage me. I then told her I wanted to start my own company. We started our company called Acuity System Consultants, and she was a co-shareholder, partner with me. We started the company and we just followed the path. She allowed the horse to run its own path. She just created the environment, let the horse run its own path, and today I have a 7 series. Right? So that's the power of being a listener and an encourager. And the thing is this, it's easy to encourage when things are going good, but when the things are going against what you believe in as a parent, then that's when it really counts. We need to hold back our comments and listen to our children more. Right? Let them find their pathway. So that's what I wanted to say. And my Akka will always be my Akka. And to Akka, I love you dearly. God bless.
I think the best thing about Apache was family unity. Everyone seems to say it, but that's how important family unity was to her. And she kind of instilled it into Sada's generation, Kavina's generation, and all of us, even the great-grandkids as well, Misha and Ziba. And, for example, when I got into the university, I wanted to go to Minerva. When I heard about it, that was my dream. That's what I wanted, and I worked towards it. And when I found out I got it, I was at pre-university. And the only thing I could think of was not posting it on Facebook, not telling my friends. I got up, walked out of pre-U, got into my car, My parents knew I was heading to my grandmother's house, Apachi's house, and they would meet me there just so I could tell my grandmother I got into Minerva. Because she knew what was important to me, she knew what I wanted, and she was always involved with us because she was always together. And just one of the examples, just very, very important to me. And when I started Maniam Properties, I was thinking, well, actually, I didn't have to think about it. But what was I going to name it? Was it Arvind Properties? Was it Arvind Maniam Properties? Was it Shanghai Properties? There was never a need for me to think of a name because it was always Maniam Properties to me. With Apache, the things he kind of taught us, it's always important to improve yourself. But it's not just about you. It's about your family. It's about your community. So it was always Maniam Properties to me. It's always going to be mine. It's always family for me. It's the most important thing to me. One thing I always do every day without fail, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe more every night, I daydream. I daydream of the future. I think what my future might be like 20 years down the road, 15 years down the road, how Maniam Properties might look like. And every time family is always there with me. And I was speaking to Nishka just like a few days ago, and I told her, I have all these dreams and futures I have, but Apache is not going to see them. And Nishka told me, Arvind, to Apache, you were already there. Thinking about it, Nishka, maybe she's trying to make me feel better. But she was right. Whenever Apache saw me, she always saw the best in me. She saw me where I dream of myself, she already saw it. It's because she sees the best in everyone. And that is something which is not easy to get. You need an amazing heart to choose to see the best in everyone. And she had that. She was my grandmother after all. And, when she was perfectly fine till the very end as well. When we were in the hospital, Nishka and I were there. Nishka seems to be popping up everywhere. And we were in the hospital together and we were talking to Apache. And Nishka told Apache, your grandson is here. And Apache looked at me and looked at Nishka back and said, Avandan Maniam. And I then stepped in and told Apache, but technically, Apache, we are all Maniams. Genetically, we are the same. And then Apache gave like a chi. Avandan Maniam, the smirk. Laugh, Nishka, Ashwin, Kavira, all of you, I'll happily grab that. But at the same time, we all united together. And thinking about it now, genetically speaking and technically, Lab is probably more Maniam than all of us, but we'll gloss over that fact right now. Apache, she got better with age. She evolved with the time. She could deal with her generation, the generation after that, and the generation after that. She was complete. And it's very hard to come by. It's something I will always treasure. And it's something I will tell my kids, and I hope they tell their kids, and it goes on, because my love for her is basically deep-rooted. It runs really deep. I love you very much, Apache. Take care. Bye.
Hi, so I had to pick one story about Apache, and I think what I want to talk about is her incredible strength and sheer determination. And this is a story about that took place in 2019. It was a week before her birthday, and we were coming to the house to see her as usual, one of our Saturday or Sunday night catch-up sessions. And we came and we saw there was something happening in number 21. And we saw Apache lying down on the floor. And then we realized she had had a fall and she was bleeding. The ambulance came, rushed her to the hospital. And we were all in GHKL. And once she was admitted and I went to see her, I was with her, I think I was with Nishka. And she said, I can't believe this is what she said. In all that pain, she was like, don't worry, I will be at your wedding. I will not interrupt any plans or anything that is supposed to happen. And the wedding was the last thing on my mind, of course, not even on my mind. And here is my grandmother thinking about me and my wedding that's taking place in like 2.5 months or 3 months down the road. And it was just her sheer, and I was like astounded by her confidence, and it gave us some comfort that she knew she was going to be okay. That gave us comfort that, she's going to be okay. She wanted to attend her cowboy-themed 96th birthday party that was taking place in that coming weekend. So she really wanted to do it, and so she attended her birthday party. as she said, she was there at my wedding. Not was she just there, I had so many functions. She attended every single function. And the big thing that she really wanted to attend was to make it to Penang for our getaway dinner. And she was so happy that she was able to do that. Not only did she make it to my several functions and weddings, she got through a pandemic, and then she attended Lab and Neuro's reception all the way in Langkawi. This lady is incredible. I remember, we had the Shava dance, and we were thinking, okay, Apache will wheel her in and we'll let her freestyle. And after the dance, she came up to us and she's like, why did you all include me in the practice sessions? I could have learned the moves and done the correct things. I mean, it's just incredible. So Apache has always set these little goals or bite-sized goals, and she wants to achieve them, take one step at a time. Whereas my wedding, and then Lav's wedding, and then another grandchild's activity or accomplishment or goal that she wanted to be present there for. She wanted to watch all our milestones, and we were very happy and were always excited to share those achievements and accomplishments with her, whether it was our graduation, whether it was a career accomplishment or a promotion at work. I remember always coming and showing her my latest promotion letters and be like, this is what I'm earning now. And she'd be like, very proud of all of us. And she was proud of all her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren. Her determination to live life the way she has will continue to astound me. Love you, Apache.
Hello everyone, so I want to talk about G.S. Maniam. G.S. Maniam was a very kind, caring and loving grandma. She was always there for me when I was hurt. All the time when I went to school, but I was scared, I would go to her and she would care for me. She is the power of everything. She is the best grandma I could ever wish for. And she can never be replaced. Here is a few words I would like to say about G.S. Maniam. Most of you know her as G.S. Maniam, but I know her as my great-grandmother, Gigi. Gigi was the heart of the Grand Central. She was always there when I needed her. Whenever I could come there, I was always happy to see her smiling face to greet me. She opens her arms with a wide hug. She's always so kind and loving to everybody and makes everybody feel special in their own way. But now that she's gone, all I can say is, thank you, God, for bringing such a heroic person down into life for us. Thank you very much.
Hi. Today I want to mention some small part of Mama. There are so many memories and so many thoughts running through my head. The one thing I'd like to mention is a determination. She's a very determined lady. The one incident that I can remember clearly is last year when we'd gone to Langkawi after COVID, last May, our first trip to Langkawi. She wanted to go on the Sinai Bridge. She said she really wanted to see the view again. And when we went there, the lift that takes the people on wheelchair up to the gondola wasn't working. And so they said there was nothing they could do. And our mama was like, okay, then she can't go. And I said, if she's not going, we're not going. And everyone was upset and nobody knew what to do. And our mama didn't want to disappoint. And I saw she didn't want to disappoint us, even though she was disappointed. And I went to the steps and I looked at it. and it was quite a bit of steps, but they were shallow. They were shallow steps. So I went back to her and I said, Mark, if you want to do this, we can do this. I'll help you. Do you think I can do this? I said, if you want to do it, we will get it done. We'll do it. She said, okay, let's do it. So we went and we assisted her, and she climbed those stairs. You know, it's a lot of stairs to go right up. And then we got into the gondola on wheelchair. And then when we went to the sky bridge, it was so hot. And she said, just put on a hat. Put the hat on me and let's go. So we went onto the sky bridge and she sat there and she looked at the view and she said, it was once that I really wanted to see this again. It was so bursting. She couldn't understand how Mom and we and were sitting in the shade and we covered for the to look at the view. Well, she really enjoyed herself. But it was because of her determination that we went for it. And, I hope we get some of that determination myself, my children. I hope we get to emulate her in this way. And that's her determination. And we know when we were worried about setting up TPC, we weren't sure she'll enjoy their partners without us. And she said, do it. You guys can do it by yourself. Why not? And she just kept encouraging. She was so positive. And so here we are, we set it up. But on a funny story note, the related story I remember clearly is that about a month before the passing, Rabu had come to stay. And they were sharing bathrooms. But setting up TPC, we weren't sure she'll enjoy their partners without partners. And she said, do it. You guys can do it by yourself. Why not? And she just kept encouraging. She was so positive. And so here we are, we set it up. But on a funny story note, the related story I remember clearly is that about a month before the passing, Rabu had come to stay. And they were sharing bathrooms. And when she had gone into the bathroom one evening, Keith slipped and fell because the floor was wet. And then, bang, there was a noise. I said, oh, was it? And she went and she saw this tall, she said, this long man lying in that narrow corridor. And she was so worried about how he was and everything. And she said, she's retelling the story. She goes, a little bit to lift him up. This tall man. And as she was lifting him, she said, nobody know. Biden fell 3 times. Biden fell 3 times. And as she's retelling the story in the lounge, in the living room of Grand Central, she's laughing her head off. Biden fell 3 times. I used all my energy and then getting away there. She really had a ball of a time retelling that story. But since Rabu was alright. Yeah. And that's my grandmother, full of love, full of laughter, full of life, full of energy, full of everything. Yes, her dearly. Hi. I would like to give you an incident on what happened to me when I was in India, my final year of Maxi. After I come to stay with me for 1 month during at the same time, I don't know how she found the time to come, leaving the house and coming to stay with me for 1 month. That is a long time. Anyway, she came and I had finished my theory papers and I had finished 2 of my practicals, medicine and ONG, which I had done well and I had passed. The remaining paper was surgery. And I went for the surgery. We had an internal and external examiners. The internal examiner was my boss. He was trained in UK and he was a cardiothoracic surgeon. He was running our surgical department.
Okay, that morning when I went to the hospital for the cases, we have one long case and two short cases. I was asked to do my long case first. And as soon as I entered the room where the long case was, the specialist who was supposed to question me on that case came forward to me and told me, "Well, madam, if you want to pass your exams, you need to come to Metrotown." I was taken aback. I didn't understand what he meant by that. I said, "What?" He said, "If you want to pass your exams, you will have to come to my room in the hotel." And this, my internal examiner heard, and he ran and came forward, and he put his arms around me and he said, "Ambika, don't listen to him. Just do your case and we'll see how it goes." He said, "There's nothing for her to. You to decide. I'm the chief examiner. I decide whether she passes or doesn't pass. If she wants to pass, she has to come to my room." After that, I couldn't think or do further with my practicals. Anyway, everyone in that room heard this. I was very disturbed, and I knew that I would not pass the practical exam. So anyway, I finished the case and I went back home, went back to the hostel. And there my mother was anxiously waiting to ask me what had happened and how I had fared. I told her what the examiner and the chief examiner had said. And then she said, "What have you decided?" I said, "Of course, I'm not lying." She said, "Well, it is the best decision you have made, and you make me proud for that. But," and that's what I said. She said, "Never mind, you lose 6 months. What's there? You have maintained your dignity, and that is important." After that, I sat back and said, if I had passed my exam in some form, everyone would have thought that I'd gone to bed with that man, that examiner. And that was a good lesson that I learned. But the following year, he was trying to come back to my college to be the examiner, but he didn't, and I passed my exam the second time. I lost my finals by 6 points, but it was worth it. Thank you.
I don't think that there's an exam or an interview that I've done in my life that Appuchi hasn't devotedly prayed for me for. We had this special routine ahead of every exam, where I would contact her ahead of time, tell her what the exam was for, what date it was on, and give her the Malaysian equivalent of the start and end time, and she would pray throughout the exam. I remember being in my first year of university and mentioning this routine that I had with Appuchi to a friend. And it's hilarious looking back on it because this friend is very English and not at all religious in any way, shape or form. But as soon as she heard about this routine that I had, she immediately said, "Can I get in on this? Do you think your grandmother would pray for me as well?" As though Appuchi's prayers were some surefire way to pass all of your exams. And because she asked, I asked Appuchi, and of course, Appuchi said yes. It's now been 13 years since my first year of university, and I'm still very close friends with this particular girl. And when Appuchi passed away, my friend sent me a message of condolence. And at the end of the message, she wrote, "I'm pretty sure your grandmother has had a hand in me passing my exams over all these years." And I think that really sums up Appuchi. She always had time, love, and thoughtfulness for absolutely everyone she came across. I don't think that there's an exam or an interview that I've done in my life that Appuchi hasn't devotedly prayed for me for. We had this special routine ahead of every exam where I would send her the details of what the exam was on ahead of time, what date it would be, and the Malaysian equivalent of the start and end time. Without fail, she would diligently take down all the details and pray for me throughout the exam. I remember being in my first year of university, and I happened to mention this routine that I had to a friend. And when I think about it now, it's so hilarious because this friend is very English and not at all religious in any way. But as soon as she heard about this routine that I had with Appuchi, she immediately said, can I get in on this? Do you think your grandmother would pray for me as well? As though Apache's prayers was some surefire way to pass all your exams. And because she'd asked, I asked Apache, and of course, Apache said yes. It's now been 13 years since my first year of university, and I'm still very close friends with this particular girl. And when Apache passed away, this same friend sent me a message of condolence, and at the end of her message, she wrote, I'm pretty sure your grandmother has had a hand in me passing my exams all these years. And I think that really sums up Apache. She always had time, love, and thoughtfulness for absolutely everyone she came across. And that is what I really love about her. I very vividly remember my uncle's visit to Sri Lanka. He was so excited to see his mother, my mum, and family. My mother and Amachi were delighted and excited. I knew my uncle was able to read palm history, and when he looked at my palm, he said, "You will marry your cousin." And I did not feel I had a cousin to marry. But eventually, Apache knew his wish and did everything she could do to ensure his desire was fulfilled. And here I am, married for 43 years. She has maintained the concept of family unity.